Hey brother, it is currently the 26th of September, the year of the Lord 2016, and today is Mechanical Monday. I don't have a new mechanic to show, so I'm going to go over the trading mechanic now that it works and show you some of the progress that I've made in the last 24 hours or so. So I'm going to switch over to the other view, and we're going to go ahead and open up Android Studio. So I'm not going to actually walk through the code today. There's quite a bit of it. It's in Java. It's using libraries that you're not familiar with. There's some interesting stuff, but I'll save that for like a Technology Tuesday or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and run the demo. And it's going to open up. I'm going to select a new game. I'm going to skip the dialogue. I'm going to go ahead to the station. It's like what I was showing the other day. I can click Visit Trader, and you'll notice the UI's had some minor additions. I can select the quantity. Currently, I don't have anything being proposed that I'll give the trader, so the quantity is stuck at 0. Let's go ahead and trade some cubic yaks. So I'm going to offer 10 cubic yaks. The cool thing about the GUI library that I'm using is that it allows me to it allows you to type in a number or to use the little ticker here, which is nice. I didn't have to do any of that myself. The positioning can use a little work. You see how it kind of overlaps with the back button here, but that's fine-tuning, polishing stuff that I'm willing to live without for the moment. Like I showed last time, the text here updates to kind of make sense of what's out there. So in this case, I haven't asked him for anything. So, the logical question is, hey, I've got 10 cubic yaks. What are you going to give me? So I'm going to ask him, and lo and behold, the merchant now actually gives a response, and he proposes 9 Astro Nano Beans. Unfortunately, that's all he has for sale at the moment. Now, all of the items are using the same default base value. So if you remember, each of the items has like a dollar amount that's hidden behind the scenes, and right now they're all set to 1, I believe, which makes them pretty much equal to each other. So this helps me work through some of the math. When I do some more rigorous testing, I'll have to play around with some more values, pardon me. But this shows me that so far the math appears to be working, because basically what the merchant is going to do is, if you ask him to propose a deal, he's going to propose one that favors him, like a real merchant would. So this is why you try and get that used car salesman to give you the first offer and then work down from there. Don't start by telling him your budget. So in this case, I've told him, hey, I've got 10 cubic yaks out of my 20 available. And he says, okay, I'll give you 9 nano beans. So basically, he's giving me 10% less than what the item is really worth. Right now it's just a flat rate, and in the future there's going to be some more factors, including your standing with the merchant, whether he likes to trade that sort of item, or she values that type of item, and I think there are a few other factors in the GDD that I need to bring into this, but right now it's just a flat 10%, so you can see he's offering 9 nano beans. Now, the way that I've currently got it set up is that if I offer anything that is favorable, the merchant will accept it. So I can go down to 1 nano bean for my yaks, which is a very bad deal for me, but good for the merchant. And if I propose it, he'll accept. Now, of course, because it's a great deal for the merchant. This could really hurt the player, I think, if they misclick, because you could, because if I go with Bendukian Spices and say, okay, I'm going to trade my 5 Bendukian Spices for a nano bean, it defaults to 1, so if I am a little overzealous and I click, how about this, bam, I've lost all my my spices, and I've gotten a single bean in return. So I may need to do something about that. That being said, let me take my remaining yaks here, And if I propose a trade for my Bendukian spices, and I offer a trade he sees to be fair, then he'll accept. If I offer one that's not fair, so 2 yaks for 5 units of spices is not fair, he says so, and he suggests a trade that he believes is fair. So in this case, or I should say right now, only my side of the bargain as the player, only the player's side of the bargain is changed, and I may change that to make it a little bit more sophisticated. So right now it just adjusts what the player is offering. So it took my 1 yak and increased it to 5 and said, hey, I think it's going to have to be at least 5 yaks to trade for these spices. I may change it so that it's more liberal, because if I cannot make a fair trade, so say I've got these 2 cryopods, again, they're worth about a yak each, and I say, how about this? He's going to say, there's no way I can make that trade. You've only got 2 cryopods, so I can't increase it to 5 cryopods, which would be the fair trade, so there's nothing I can do. I may change that in the future so that it's a little bit more sophisticated and says, well, if you only want 2 spices, then I can accept the trade, right? So there's some more thinking to do. There's definitely ways to make this more sophisticated. One bug I've got right now is if I offer, a really small trade, he can offer 0 items in return, and so I need to balance that, because on one hand, this is just dumb. He should just say, that's not enough for any of my stuff, or it's worth 1 yak. There's ripping the player off, and then there's asking for freebies, and the latter's less cool. One other thing that I found when I was working on this mechanic is there are some corner cases that I hadn't thought about, such as, what if the player is looking to trade for the same item? Right, this is a particular way they could exploit it, because the plus or minus, it's plus or minus 10%. That's what the merchant looks at as fair. And so again, if I ask for a deal, the merchant's gonna give one that favors them. If I propose a deal though, and it's on the other side of that 10%, then then I get the better side of the deal, and the merchant still considers it somewhere in the realm of fairness. And since this is a barter system, this plus or minus thing allows for some wiggle room. It's definitely going to be, as I said, it's going to be made more sophisticated. I'm going to give a little bit less wiggle room, so that it's right now at a fixed 10%. It's pretty easy to say, oh, okay, so I just need to make sure I can get that extra 10%, and then I can make 10% off of every deal. So adjustment, but it's a start. However, if I offer, let's say 100, if I've got 100 nanobeans and the merchant does 2, without tweaking the mechanic, I can say, okay, well, I'm going to give you 100 nanobeans for 110 nanobeans, and the merchant would totally accept that. So I added a little addition here, where if you try and trade for the same item, the store owner is just going to say, don't be silly. That's dumb. And actually, come to think of it, a more complicated form of this exploit would be if I trade item A for item B, and I make a 10% profit, and then I trade item B back for item A for a 10% profit. It can be cyclical, and I'll just buy out the merchant eventually. So that needs to be worked on as well. One option would be to not let the player buy back goods they've traded, and that's certainly doable. But we'll see. Let me know what you think. Most games use a monetary system where they make sure that buying an item back will actually leave you with a loss. Items are more expensive when you buy them than when you sell them. Maybe I need to do that with the barter system. We'll see. So anyways, that's pretty much where I'm at. If I go back, the merchant currently is not persisted, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. The player is, so you can see that I'm missing the spices and the other goods that I traded, but I still have the nano beans. So that's where it's at. Unfortunately, while building the trade mechanic, I've accumulated a bit of technical debt, meaning that when you build something, when you write code, you can write the code and take shortcuts. Basically, you're saying, okay, I'm going to do a sloppy job or just some patchwork here. I'm going to code this really fast. And so I'm going to gain some time. I'm going to be able to deliver get this thing working sooner. But, eventually I'm going to have to pay back that debt and come back and fix the part that I rushed over, because it's either not giving me the full function I wanted, or it's going to make things harder to write in the future. It's almost like a debt that has, an interest rate. The more debt you have, the more work you have to do just to make other things work until you pay back that debt. So I've got like 19 to-do items marked in my code. I'm probably going to have to devote a day this week to just refactoring code, and that's fine. I really wanted to get something working to show you the trade mechanic today, and I was able to accomplish that, so I'm happy about it. But I noticed that you were kind of running into the same thing with inventory, where you're saying, there's probably a better way to do it, but this way works, and I don't want to spend the time to fix it. That's an example, just so you know, that's an example of technical debt. And like real debt, it often makes sense to have some debt, as long as it's manageable debt. So good luck with that, and that's what I wanted to show you. So until next time, I remain your brother.